Welcome back to the Mind of Watercolor, everybody. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Mind of Watercolor. Welcome back to the Mind of Watercolor, everybody. Hello, all you minders out there. Welcome back to the Mind of Watercolor. Hello, minders. Welcome back to the Mind of Watercolor. Hello, minders. Welcome back to the Mind of Watercolor. To accentuate the positive. Back to the birds. Pochad, Pochady, Pochati. Watercolor paint, all the negative. Welcome back, minders. So glad to have you here. Well, I've really enjoyed saying those words over the last 3 years, and especially today. All you minders out there and all you new viewers, welcome to the Mind Watercolor, especially on this, my 3rd anniversary and my 100,000 subscriber celebration. And the biggest part of the celebration is you guys, because I couldn't do this by myself. I can make the content, but I can't make people consume it. And I'm so grateful to you. I'm so grateful that you have enjoyed it, that you've been inspired. Inspiration has been one of the biggest motivators for keeping me going, your inspiration. So it's just fitting to share these milestones with you. So I got a big giveaway today. If you follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, you know that was coming as soon as I hit 100,000. Legion Paper has graciously provided 20 blocks of Stonehenge Aqua. 20, folks. Hot press. I got 10 hot press and 10 cold press. Stay tuned to the end of the video and I'll tell you how to enter. And I'll have some special instructions for patrons on how to enter there. So hang on to the end. Hey Reese, buddy, what you doing over here? Taking a nap? Can you believe it? We hit 100K. We hit 100K. That's his excited face. He's excited. Okay, I'm here at my paper shelf, and you know, I think it's fitting, since my very first episode was about paper and how to choose good paper, that I do an episode about paper. You know, this is my paper shelf, and I keep the blocks and some of the pads here. Now over there, let me show you. Now over there in this closet, I've got portfolios of artwork and folios full of full sheets of paper. But everything that's over there in full sheets is basically duplicated here in either pads or smaller blocks. We're gonna play a thing today that I call What Paper is on My Shelf, and I'm just going to make comments about it as we go along. You know, you see it on YouTube all the time. What apps are on my iPhone? What sketches are in my sketchbook journal? What art supplies are in my art supply drawers? So this one, in honor of my very first episode, is called What Paper, watercolor paper specifically, is on my shelf. Okay? Alright, so we're going to start up here with the top shelf and just look at some things. But mainly I want to comment about paper in general, because in the first episode I did on paper, we talked about brands. And I've got represented, I think, most brands that I consider top quality brands. Now one thing you'll notice right away is that 90% of what I have in here is artist grade 100% cotton paper. It's the good stuff. So starting up here, I've got 7x10 block of Arches cold press, a 7x10 block of Arches hot press, and I've got some Aqua board. I have 3 or 4 sizes of Aqua board. I haven't used Aqua board in a while, but it's pretty cool. Maybe we'll do an episode on that coming up before too long. Now this is interesting. I've been sent some stuff by Hanamule, and this is not 100% cotton. These are boxes of postcards, and maybe we'll do an unboxing and a sample on that. But the fact that it's not cotton paper doesn't excite me a whole lot. It is cool that it is that they are postcards. I have a little 5x7 block of Fabriano Artistico. That's a really good paper. And if I'm going to do a painting as a postcard, I'm probably more likely to do it on something like that. Here's something that several of you have been asking for, and I've got a couple pads of it, but I've never done an episode, and that's Yeppo. I will do an episode on Yeppo, I promise. Just hang on for that. I've only done a couple episodes on Winsor Newton watercolor markers, but this is the watercolor pad they specifically make for it. Basically, it stains less and has more sizing in it than a normal watercolor paper. It's not 100% cotton, but it does work well, the markers. And I will get back to doing more with the watercolor markers. This is cool, something that I've been wanting to use, but a lot of times I forget I have it. It's a very wide, sort of panoramic Arches watercolor block. Just their standard cold press 140 pound. Can do some cool stuff with that. I always thought that was a neat format. Maybe I'll do a spontaneous painting on that. And I have this stuff arranged from small pads to progressively larger. So there's going to be some repetition. Now here, this is out of its packaging, but this was a package of B paper. It is 100% cotton cold press, and it comes in loose sheets. Comes with like 25 sheet pack, and I'll be putting links to this down in the video. But if you're looking for an inexpensive cotton paper, this is a pretty good one. I've never done an episode on it, but it's something that I probably will do eventually. I know a lot of you out there, especially overseas, are looking for good quality substitutes for arches, because you can't get arches at a decent price. I have no idea what's available in Canada. I have no idea what's available in Europe at a good price. But I figure if I just name brands, that you might find something that you'll be able to find at a good price. B paper though is American made, so it might be tough to find overseas. But this is a 6x9 loose sheet pack. In Amazon it's only about $13. So that's a good practice paper. You've heard me say it before, I kind of reject the idea of practicing on low grade paper, because you're not really practicing. Low grade paper does not act the same as cotton paper. So the results you get on low grade paper are not the same as what you get on cotton paper. Another really good paper is Strathmore 500. Now I have some full sheets of Strathmore 500, but this is a little pack you can get of ready cut sheets, 5x7. And Strathmore 500 is an excellent paper. 100% cotton, good stuff. These are more Aqua board panels out of their packaging. Proceeding down to this shelf, more arches, cold press, a bigger block. You'll see a lot of arches in here. Canson. Now this is Canson 100 watercolor block. I don't know that they sell this anymore, but this is a good paper. Oh, I have some stuff in there. But this is a 100% cotton, 140 pound watercolor block, and it's great paper. I think that this has been replaced by Heritage, but I'm not sure. Here's an inexpensive paper that if you can find it, it's not bad. I don't care for it that much as cotton papers go, but it's reasonably priced in the US, and that's Fluid. This is a hot press and a cold press. It is 100% cotton. I find that it stained easy, so I didn't have a good success lifting with it, but it's still better than non-cotton papers. That's Fluid. For you in the UK, you might have better luck getting this. This is a top quality paper. Saunders Waterford, made by the same mill that makes Bockingford. But this is their top quality. It's better than Bockingford. It's very good paper. I've had really good success with what I've done on this. I don't know, in Europe, in the UK, you might have better luck getting that. Here's a bigger block. Again, Fabriano Artistico. You know, when I look through the splash journals, 90% of all the users in there use Arches, but usually a second runner-up is this paper right here. This Italian paper, Fabriano. I mistakenly called this a French paper in my very first video. It's Italian. But if you can't get Arches, look for this, or look for this. More Aqua board, larger boards. Now I do have some pads. I have a separate shelf where it's keep sketch pads, but I do have a shelf here for the larger ones. These are, if you're looking for a high quality sketchbook, these are pricey, but this is it. This is basically a sketchbook filled with arches and spiral bound. It's called the Arches Feel book. I've got 2 of those I have yet to crack, mainly because I've been doing, when I reach for high quality sketchbook paper, I reach for the perfect sketchbook, but eventually I'll reach for these. Now recently you saw me do my thumbnails and my sketching in this American Journey sketchbook. This is not high grade paper. This is a little more frustrating to use, but it's okay for some loose sketching. Here is a bigger pad of the Winsor Newton watercolor marker paper. Again, not cotton paper, but designed specifically for the watercolor markers. You can use watercolor markers on other paper, but this, just as I mentioned before, facilitates less staining, more lifting, and moving of the medium. And here is a Kilimanjaro. Kilimanjaro is a Cheap Joe's art stuff brand. Kilimanjaro is a 140 pound, 100% cold press cotton spiral bound book. And you could keep it as a sketchbook, or you can tear them out as individual sheets like a pad. It's pretty good paper. It's kind of a mystery as to who makes Kilimanjaro. You know, Cheap Joe's doesn't make any of his art supplies. He has them made, but he kind of keeps it a secret. Most people know that the American Journey paints are Da Vinci. There's been a lot of speculation as to who makes this, and it's not really sure. Some people think it's artistic Fabriano, but don't know. Okay, and finally we got the big pad. Down here I'm not going to get into those. Those are drawing pads of various kind of drawing papers, and I'm just going to touch on watercolor paper today. Now, one of the new kids on the block, and you've seen me do demos, this beautiful paper, the Scansett Heritage, and I really love this paper. It has a high lifting quotient, so it's kind of a good choice if you're looking for that. And over on this side we've got just some samples. This Fabriano Studio watercolor, don't recommend it. It's not cotton paper, and it's 25% cotton, but it might as well be all cellulose. You know, this might be okay in a sketchbook, but for a studio paper, I don't recommend it. Let's go back over to this side. I was recently sent some Hahnemühle German-made paper. Again, I've not done any testing yet, but I'm anxious to. High-grade paper, from what I understand. This is Cezanne, which is their 140 pound hot press and cold press, and then their Leonardo, which is closer to 300 pound. And these are blocks. Very nice. And the star of today's show, Stonehenge Aqua. Like Canson Heritage, it's a new kid on the block. I've not disguised the fact that I am very excited about this paper. One of the few papers I've ever seen that comes close to Arches. It's just a great paper. And this is a block. I've done demos on that. This is hot press. This is cold press. And these are what I'm giving away today. What do I have here? A bigger hot press block of Arches. I have all kinds of sizes of Arches. Yet another block of Saunders Waterford from St. Cuthbert's Mill. Again, same mill that makes Bockingford. Beautiful paper. This is a block of Fabriano Watercolor Studio. Don't recommend it. Don't recommend it. Not had good luck with it. I don't even practice on it. Alright, so what's over here? Another bigger pad of Yeppo. Now, for you who don't know, and as I said, I promised to do an episode on Yeppo eventually, but for you who don't know, it's a polypropylene paper. It's not an absorbent paper, so it's like painting on plastic. It's treated with a finish which allows it to take wet media. So it's kind of an interesting bird. Over here are all my practice pads. These are tear-off pads, and usually pads I try to get at a really good price, either through coupons or whatnot. And it's all 100% cotton, folks. I don't practice on cheap paper, mainly because if I'm trying a technique, I need to know how it's going to react. And if I do on cheap paper, I'm not going to know. It'll react differently. Normally, I get these Arches 140-pound tear-off pads. I get them at Hobby Lobby for right around $12, which is not bad. I use their app and use the 40% off coupon. And I have several that I grab when I can. They're all still in shrink wrap. And recently, Hobby Lobby has started selling Canson Heritage in tear-off pads, which is also a pretty good deal when you use their 40% off coupon. So I bought some tear-off pads of that. Yeah, so as you can see, I'm not going to run out of practice pads anytime soon. You know, I don't mean to criticize anybody that is on a tight budget, and I'm on a budget. You know, it's just that I'm serious about my watercolor, and I paint on what I feel is the best, and it's going to give me the best results when I practice, and it's going to replicate the same results I get on high grade paper. So I honestly can't get behind the concept of practicing on cheap paper and then saving the best paper for my finished work. I'm not knocking anybody who does that. If that works for you, if you feel like cheap paper is giving you good enough results in your practice, then I can't criticize that. But this is just, I want to replicate the experience and practice that I'm going to get on my high grade paper, and I'm serious enough about it to do it. So when I talk about high grade paper and only using that, that's why I say that. The exception is sketchbooks, you know, and I just have to resign myself to the fact that in a sketchbook I'm going to get a different result, and I'm experienced enough that I can kind of make up for the shortcomings of cheap paper. And usually if somebody is doing a fairly decent job of painting in sketchbooks, it's because they do have some experience, or they've just learned to paint at it. You know, it's as simple as that. Now that's most of it. I do have one last shelf here of, this is something new which I haven't used. This is not watercolor paper, it's the toned tan paper, but it's mixed media. What happened is, you probably are familiar with the toned tan and the toned gray drawing paper. Well, they came out with a heavier version that is mixed media, and I'm going to use this to try some watercolor on mainly pen and wash or pencil and wash, and some gouache. So look for that in the future. I'll probably make an episode on using that. What else do I have? This is just an envelope of Strathmore 500 samples, which Strathmore sent me back when I did the workshop for them. And I just have a larger block of Stonehenge Aqua hot press, and a larger, this is the largest block of Arches that I have. It's the 12 by 16. If I get any bigger than this, I'll go to a sheet. They do make some blocks bigger than this, but that's about the biggest one that I use. And yet one more pad, Winsor Newton watercolor marker paper. You know, I actually thought I was going to do more with the watercolor markers than I have done. Nothing wrong with them. I was not disappointed by them. It's just something that I thought I was going to do more with and have yet to do. So I will try to do some more with the watercolor markers in the future. Well, folks, that is what is on my watercolor paper shelf. Maybe that gives you some ideas. Maybe that tells you about some paper or something that you hadn't thought of. It might spur on some questions. If you have some questions, let me know. Alright, so now it's time to talk about the giveaway. Here's the way it's actually going to go. I'm actually going to have 17 giveaways, because I'm going to do 3 giveaways for patrons. To enter as a patron, you need to enter there in the comments of that video. If you are a winner, if you were picked as a winner, and there will be 3 of you on Patreon, you'll get 1 of each block, a hot press and a cold press. So 3 winners on Patreon will get a hot press and a cold press block. Now hang on to the end, because I'm going to tell you how you enter comments. Now the rest of you on YouTube will win either a hot press or a cold press block. You can specify your preference. I will honor the preference if I can. If I'm out of one, award whatever's left over. Now here's how you enter. Put a comment in either the YouTube comments or in the Patreon comments, and just use this phrase: I want to try Stonehenge Aqua. Okay? I want to try Stonehenge Aqua. That's got to be in the comments for you to be entered. Now patrons, you do the same thing on Patreon. You, however, can enter twice. You can enter once on Patreon and win the 2 blocks, the one of each kind. You can also post a comment on YouTube and win a single block over there, if you're chosen. So you have the opportunity twice to win. So all of that constitutes 17 prizes, basically. 3 for patrons and another 14 for all the rest of you viewers. Now I'm sorry, this is domestic shipping, US only. The shipping costs are just too expensive, especially with this many. So I will only be shipping out to the US. Looking forward to this, and let the entries begin. In about a week of the posting of this video, I will choose a winner. Thanks so much everyone. We'll see you all in the next video.